What is up, everybody? We are back today and wanted to cover a topic we've been talking about. We just got back from our trip. Things went really well. I know I posted that video while we were out there about how to really just conversate. That's like really what you're doing when you're like robotically affirming, is just talk about the things that are true for you and kind of just like put that energy out there and how easily that can be reflected back in your reality when you do that, especially in the context of doing something new, meeting new people. Now, one thing though that I notice that I personally can at times not be able to transfer that type of energy into things that require more planning. One example is, planning a trip. This trip was pretty simple. It was like, we're going to Salt Lake City, we're going to Park City, we're going to just like do this. But now we had a more complicated trip that we went on, which was up the entire California coast. And we've talked recently about how, the energy that you want to bring into whatever it is that you're doing is this open energy, right? And then there's this, and then there's this, right? This is holding on, this is like gripping onto things, holding on. She calls it white knuckling things when I do that. And it's just, the more complicated things are though, the more I think that it's easier for that kind of critical voice, logical voice, limited voice, whatever you want to call it, to come in and be, judging, second guessing, doubting, whatever it might be, and saying, hey, look, like, this is the energy now, because this is important. We need to get this right. And like I said, with complicated projects, the bigger the scale of the project, if you're starting a business, if you are working on a creative thing that requires it has a lot of moving parts, such as the trip up the California coast. We traveled up maybe like 8 different cities or more on that trip. Navigating through all that, I really do think it can be easier said than done. And sometimes when you hear people say, oh yeah, just, like go like this and like let it go and detach, it's like, I want to give you guys some examples on how to detach in those more complicated situations. And that's why I have Devon with me as she's been joining me on these videos recently, so that she can provide you guys with some, I think, really relatable examples. We were talking earlier about the way that she was able to do this when it comes to school and her grades in school. And so I want to just give it over to Devon now so that she can elaborate on this.
Yeah, so I think the biggest way to go from this to this is almost in like everything in your body, just believing like there's no other way but to succeed, but to have this this project or this grade be the best grade, right? There's no other option, so it's just going to be this way, and it's the only way. And I would go about my grades and even conversating with my teachers in this manner. There were some teachers who they would lose my homework, and I was fortunate enough to go to a BT high school beyond textbooks, so I had a computer, a laptop, and whenever this would come up, oh, I didn't get this assignment, I'd be able to like go through and be like, no, like you did, I submitted it right here. Here are the Carfax. I can email you my project again if you need it, but I did turn it in, and I'm not going to be penalized for you losing my work. And very affirmative speaking like that, because I know I did my work. And I would even tell some of my teachers who they might have tried to give me like a lower grade, or just say like this project that I worked on with one of my friends, and we kind of played a little game on her and presented her first a project that looked like garbage, and just to get her reaction. And this project, it was a map and it had like labels on it or whatever, but it was like literally ripped in half, and we were just like, oh, just kidding. Showed her the real project, which was a very beautifully done 3D map. And she's like, well, I'm going to give you a C because it's not labeled. There's no label on any of the houses or on any of the streets. And I'm like, no, wait, but we did label it. Actually, it's labeled on this one, the trash can map, but it still counts because it's all together. And I was like, nope, this is an A. Like, that's what we're getting. And she actually did give us an A. Another teacher, and I just went about my schooling and my academics just knowing that I don't have any other choice but to do well, and I carried that, so that I wasn't stressed. Like, I'm just like, there's no other option, so I can just move about it like this and trust everything that I'm doing is like either A+ work or B. I wasn't like the best student.
But you graduated with a 3.8 or 3.9,
yeah.
and that's such a high GPA. That's a higher GPA than I graduated with, and I got almost like no C's in high school. I got like all A's and some B's, and I still had like a 3.6 or something like that. So it's even higher than what I got.
I had some weighted classes on my GPA, which helped.
So one other example that because we were talking about this, and you had a teacher who had these slips that he would give you as so that he gave you the chance to explain why you turned your homework in late, right?
Yeah.
And so if you want to just share that, I mean.
Yeah, so there are these slips, and a lot of times whenever we don't do our homework, it's really just, I didn't do it, I forgot about it,
dog ate
or
some BS excuse,
it's
all the classic
like,
excuses.
Yeah, but getting down to it, it's just I didn't do my homework because I just didn't. And I was kind of just tired of like writing it like, oh, forgot to turn it in or forgot to do it. So I began to get more creative, and he had these slips which were how much credit do you deserve taken off, right? And it went from none to 10 to 20 and so on and so forth. And then the name of the assignment, the date it was due, and then the reason why was like this little part in the bottom. And I would just go off on these stories about going to Japan and saving it from giant moth monsters and just absolutely ridiculous superhero made up stories. And at the end I would say, would you really punish a hero for saving the world for not like turning in this paper? And I'd always like click like none, credit removed, or maybe 10% if I was being humble. But I would just like end it like, you're welcome. And basically like how Alex explained what I was doing was I kind of guided him and told him how to respond to me and how I was setting it up for him to respond. And then he write to my script basically. And I never got like credit off. He loved my stories. He was always super excited about them. I got the nickname Devon the Moth Slayer. And yeah, it's going with that confidence and knowing that like this story is going to be amazing, and he's not going to take any credit off, and he's going to love it because he's going to love me, and there's no other reason to not.
Yeah, and you even gave me an example too about the end of that conversation being like, yeah, like a conversation that you had with a teacher where you're like, yeah, I deserve an A, or give me an A because that's what I deserve, or am I mixing that up now?
I think you're mixing it up a little bit.
Okay, well, I thought that was what you had said, like, or at least you said something to that effect, maybe not using those words, but
about the map.
Okay. And you were like, yeah, no, I should get an A, is right what you said, right?
Yeah.
Because I did this.
Yeah.
And but really, like, I think at the heart of what's going on there is, that what she's saying is this knowing that, because this energy, it's like, it translates to like, why not give this person, like, she is being creative, she is like, I don't know, it's almost like the only logical choice if you're that teacher giving her the grade, and you've given her the opportunity either also to say why she should, and then with that type of attitude, like, you want to reward that positive expectation that she has almost. It's the same way when you're talking to somebody and you're like, yeah, you're so cool. Like, I talk about this when we're in situations where we're dealing with people that are working in just a service position, like, thank you so much for helping me out. Like, you know, I really appreciate you going like above and beyond for me, blah, blah, blah. And then when you say that, you're now giving them you're giving them the chance to rise to the occasion and have now that self-identity where they're saying like, yeah, I really do right by my customers. I really do the best by everybody that walks through the store. Or, you know, I really am very personable. I really am this like well-liked person who always does the best, who goes above and beyond and offers the best. Like, my services are better than other people's. Like, I do better than other people. And even we had just an encounter like at Oktoberfest, because we went to Oktoberfest this past weekend, where people were just kind of like being very curt, very rude. We're asking like what beers they have available, and they're like slurring their words. And then there was one lady that we walked up to, and I'm asking her like what cup we can get, and she just goes like this. She's like or with her arm like this,
gesturing like this down the table.
Complete deadpan expression too, like just like, are you dumb? Like, this is what's here. And it's just like, so what you said,
I explained to her, it was our first time. Like, we weren't even anticipating going to Oktoberfest. We didn't know, we're not into like the beer culture too much. So I was like, yeah, like, you know, we weren't really like anticipating coming here. Like, it's our first time here. We don't really know, how all this works. So like, I'm sorry if we're asking kind of like stupid questions or dumb questions, but we just like genuinely like don't know.
Yeah.
And then she backtracked. You can
so
just see the change in her face. That was just like, yeah, like, I'm sorry, like, where I'm being asked like all these questions like all day and the same questions, and I kind of forget that like you don't know. And I'm like, yeah, like, you don't know until you know. You know.
Yeah. And again, with that situation, it's almost like she has no choice then but to like respond in a certain way, and you're almost just like
guiding her how to respond.
Exactly, like showing her how she should be responding to you. And it's really cool that we have all these different examples of how that can go in an interaction. And what I wanted to do is carrying that over into like these more complicated things where there's more moving parts. Like I said at the beginning of the video, let's say you're leasing, you're like working on your business, or you are working on this creative project, how to kind of get and step into that feeling. And you said earlier that it's like that knowing in your body. I want to let you word it again how you worded it, because it's that certainty. I know that we use that word where it's like sometimes people are so, the certainty comes with like this feeling of like the going open with the hands open, not with the white knuckle, right? Because it's like
that without a doubt confidence in yourself, in your body. Like, there's no failure. There's no failure here, in that like you have the utmost just certainty. Yeah, like how we're saying, that's the best way like I know how to explain that. And it's just like a body feeling too, where you're just,
it's a body feeling, exactly,
just trusting like your body's going to take you where it needs to go. You're going to do the work the way that like it needs to be done, and it's going to get the best grades or the best responses, whether it's like a project, whether it's like if you're in school, a presentation for work. But just knowing like, yeah, I'm gonna kill this and they're gonna love me, because why not? I'm not giving them any other reason.
Yeah, another thing that came to mind was at this Lantern Festival, they had these openers, these artists on stage, right? You know, the openers, they're just kind of like, nobody really knows who they are, but these openers that were there were just very like unsure of themselves, very shaky on what they were doing. I don't know how you describe them. Anything that
I like to say, whenever you're learning something and whenever you're developing a skill, learn from masters, but then put your own signature on it. Your signature is very unique to yourself, unless you're in school and you're plagiarizing your parents' signatures, but but you can tell whenever somebody puts themselves in it, whenever somebody puts their souls in it, and then also you can tell whenever this person is just kind of being a copy of something that they heard, and they're trying to sound like somebody else, especially with covers, and that's how we learn a lot, is by like covering songs, and that's how I learned, but I put my own Devon twist on it, and that's how people excel. And these openers were just the copies with no signature.
It's like you hear it and it has like no soul to it. And even though certain singers might be technically better than other singers, somebody that I brought up before was like Black Bear. Like Black Bear does not have the technical ability that a lot of people do when it comes to singing. But Black Bear's songs freaking slap because Black Bear puts himself into it and you can feel it. And I would much any day rather listen to Black Bear sing than somebody who is technically trained and is doing all the most at singing, but they're just copying somebody else's style, or their heart's not in it. Like, it's a completely different feeling. And so that's what was going on with these openers. And when it came time to the guy which is funny, is that I've never heard of this guy ever. I think his name was like Alec Benjamin or something. But so the guy that's hosting the event like brings him on, gives him this grandiose intro, which is another funny point that we suspect, and actually it's not even a suspicion, I feel like it's 99% of the case is true, that he had a written introduction that this guy was supposed to read off, because it was like describing him in like the most best light, like all these accolades, billions of views on this in Paper Magazine, been, renowned, whatever, like, and I've never heard of him. And then people started cheering, and then so in my opinion, personally, this guy started telling like these really lame jokes is how I would describe it. But people were actually paying attention, they were smiling, they were laughing at it. And I really feel like in that instance, he was telling people how to react to him. He's like, look, I have all these credits to my name. I'm this person, so-and-so. And he was telling these really stupid stories with so much confidence that people were just reacting to it like, oh yeah, this guy's cool. And it's just another like bizarre example where he's letting them know beforehand the way he positioned himself in that situation is, look, like, and another thing that I have to say that is to his credit is that there was a bit of that going on when it actually came to his performance. I don't think he's the best singer, but look, the guy was confident and it came through in his vocals. He might not be my cup of tea, but I can, even as an objective listener, realize that he was way more sure of himself, which puts me as a listener more at ease than some guy who's very wobbly on what he's doing up there. Yeah. So that's another good example.
He was leading that narrative. He was telling the masses how to react to them, how to respond. Because sometimes you'll listen to something or you'll hear something for the first time, and it takes a minute to process it because you're trying to figure out how you feel about it. But if somebody's like, listen to this person, they're amazing, they're so good, you're going to be like listening in a way that's like, wow, this is amazing, this is really good, and picking up on those like positive notes. Whereas if you go in and watch something or listen to something, and you're like, this person stinks, they suck, and then you listen to it and you're like, yeah, they do actually. Yeah. Because you're trying to go with the narrative that's being placed. And actually, like, just before we started filming, right now, like, I'm kind of growing out my nails, and I was...
Look at these beauties. Look at these.
I was telling Alex, I was like, my nails are so pretty and they're growing so nicely. And he's like, yeah, like they are. And he's been like affirming them and been complimenting them. And I'm like, I could like focus on the negatives about my nails and my hands. Like I'm, being in cooking, being a chef, we've talked about that before. It's a dangerous territory. And I cut the tip of one of my fingers clean off, and my nail on that finger grows back weird now, and I've had surgery on another finger, and I kind of call it my witch's finger. And I could sit there and like just point out those things and those sort of mutations and monstrosities and be like, my hands are hideous. And then he'd be like, yeah, they're kind of weird looking, but since I'm just like, look at how pretty they are and they're growing so nice. And he's like, yeah, it's the confidence in yourself, and then you lead that narrative that way, because people, they don't know what they don't know, and they don't know if you're insecure about something, and they don't know whether you're confident about something unless you're vocal about it. If you're vocal about your insecurities and your shortcomings, then somebody might just sort of see that about you and take that in. But whereas if you're confident about the information that you're putting out, the confident about, I deserve this grade, or I deserve this job or this promotion, people will pick up on that and be like, yeah, you do actually, huh?
Right. Yeah. We're social creatures. We're watching this show too. There's a couple shows on Netflix, Sea Wolves and Predators, like a new show, and it's about
Amazing.
It's about animals. And we have a lot that we can learn from these animals because they're, it is cutthroat. Obviously nature's cutthroat, but we are animals really, to get down to it. And we have these instincts too. And it's like, if we pick up on an unsure, it's like spotting weakness. If you want to get into like the really, really
just harsh,
stripping it down to like nature itself, Mother Nature is like the animals that see the other animals that aren't certain. And there can even be with wolves or whatever, they can be a more powerful wolf, but if he's like unsure about going for the prey or going for the kill, the other wolf's gonna like snap at him and then take the meal, and then he's not gonna have enough nutrients to survive. And it really is kind of like that. That's why that certainty is so important, and we respond to it as social creatures. And one thing that we were talking about before is like, when it comes to promoting things online, or when it comes to, posting on social media, we'll see posts sometimes. I'll see posts and just be confused as to why they went so viral. I think in a lot of cases, like, I'll see posts and I'll be like, yeah, like, I don't really know why this one went viral. I see other ones that I think are better that don't. And maybe there's something about that going on, something between the lines, behind the scenes. And I don't know if you have anything that you wanted to say to kind of explain why that might be, but it really probably boils down to the certainty with which it's being delivered and everything about the presentation and around it, which is conveying to the audience member, to us, to whoever it is watching, that look, this is something that is to be taken note of, this is something that should be applauded and should be valued. This is valuable. Even if it's like something just so raw, or so, like, you'll see these people promoting their music, like, yeah, like, I don't know how my song got 1 million views, but click this button to send it so that it does, or whatever, and then it gets 1 million views. Like, it's stuff like that where it's almost like it's so open-handed too, like this, not holding on so tight. And even if the video is like kind of bad or kind of not shot well, just like not even lit very well, whatever the case may be, people can feel that type of certainty, that type of energy that it was posted with, and then they respond accordingly.
Yeah, like, we're listening to a few audiobooks right now, and one of them talks about an interview with an actor, and he says all the camera is this device that's supposed to pick up and put back out what you're giving to it. That's all it does. There's no secret sauce to it. It starts with you. So if you're giving off timid or unsure vibes or energies, it's going to pick it up, and people are going to be able to see that. People are going to read that. But if you're putting out very confident vibes, very confident and concise, in certain aura about yourself, that's going to translate exactly. And in those videos that you're like, how did this go viral? This person probably posted it like, there's no way for this to like not pop off, because I love it. I think it's amazing. I feel like amazing posting it. So the audience probably sees that, probably sends it off. Maybe they paid some people here and there to send it off. I don't know. But I like to think that they're just very sure of themselves and they're very confident in themselves, because that tells me like, hey, I can do that too. If they can do it, there's no reason I can't.
Yeah.
And there's no reason that somebody else won't like what I'm putting out and what I'm doing. It may not be instant, but the possibility is there.
Yeah. Or at the very least, like you said, there's no reason why this isn't enough, or why I'm not enough, or why this can't be successful, or this can't do well, as opposed to hanging on. So that's another thing that we talked about is when we were out this weekend, or when we're out and about, we have this Robotic Affirming going, everything's going our way, everything's going smoothly, people just love us, people are like just giving us free stuff everywhere we go, and then we see that reflected back. Well, it's such a vague statement. It's such a like open to the possibility of that happening. I'm not latching on to every single time I've ever had a bad interaction, or every time that I've ever been, like, had to pay full price for something and being like, oh, well, now we're not gonna get free stuff anymore.
I never get free stuff, so
Yeah.
I had to pay at Walmart this one time.
Yeah, or people don't like me because
This one
person
was weird to me.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if I was doing that, then I wouldn't be open to those possibilities. And it's like latching on to the good ones and being like, yeah, like, everybody loves me, everybody just responds amazingly, people just love our energy everywhere we go. Then we're holding on to that energy. That's what we're taking with us into our next situation, or next wherever it is that we go. And so if we can do that with the things that are more complicated, more complex, to say, look, I'm not going to hold on to this time that this person didn't like my video, this person didn't like my music, there's times where people loved it. There's times where it can happen for me, even if you don't have those hard references where you're like, look, I had a viral video, or look, I had, I got into the college of my dreams, or whatever the case may be. You can take all the other positive things and just be like, look, like, it is possible for me, and it's possible for these people, and these people were able to do it. And why not me? Why not me? I deserve it. There's no why. What reason do I not deserve it? And just kind of like the way that,
of course, me. And it may not be like this time, but then whenever it does happen for you, like, we're not going to be butthurt whenever we have to pay at Walmart. But whenever we get free beer or free cider, free this or that, we instantly throw a party for ourselves. And like, yeah, of course that happened, because why not?
yeah, exactly.
Like, appreciating those times whenever it does happen, and letting go of the times that things don't happen like that. It's no bearing on you. It's no reason for you to get down on yourself. Like, if you guys watch Predators? If you guys watch Predators, which I highly recommend, a great example that I used with Alex earlier was a lion isn't going to not attack that gazelle because one time whenever it was a cub, it didn't get a gazelle, or it ruined a hunt. So it's not going to look at that gazelle in this moment and think back, well, I didn't catch it before, so I'm not going to try, because it's just going to keep happening like that. It's going to go in and be like, this is the time that's going to happen for me right now. And then it's going to get it, and it's going to keep reaffirming, I am a brilliant hunter. I'm going to learn and get stronger and keep honing my techniques and become that master hunter, and then pass on my genes and pass on my techniques and make the next generation even stronger. That's the way that it thinks, just being better and not hanging on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all about like having that ability to look at yourself. You said before too, and like visibly looking at yourself in the mirror too. Think about the things that you appreciate about yourself, because that can also be useful to gently start nudging you when you feel in those moments where you do feel defeated, or you do feel like, look, why is it, you feel like that struggling feeling. It's important to gently start nudging yourself in the opposite direction, into the direction of growth, into the direction where it will look like, I have these things about myself that I like. I have these things that I've been able to do, and there's no reason why I can't do this as well. Like, fuck all the other shit. Fuck all the failures that whatever failures you're thinking of when you're in those negative states, because like she said, if a lion focuses on that gazelle or that zebra or whatever that it didn't kill, that one time the times that it didn't make the kill, it might have even had a bunch of this, and we've seen this on the show. They'll have these dry spells where they can't get a kill, and it's almost like for months or something. In the summer heat time, it's like they keep going back out there and they keep making it, because if not, they're gonna die. And really it comes down to just having that tenacity, having that ability to to see the glass half full, to see, look at every single new situation as a fresh one. There's a book we're listening to and it's talking about the 0 point, where it's just come to the point of zero. Because if you're holding on to the negative past memories, you're operating in that body, that your body is operating in that state of those negative, painful memories, and you're not able to approach new situations with a new vitality, with a new sense of energy and a fresh energy. You're approaching it with this stagnant, maybe toxic, maybe just energy that is, it's like a lake, you know, when you see the lake that's, or the pond or whatever, where it's just like the water's not moving, it's all it's had is like, you know, you need fresh moving water to keep the water clean, to keep the energy new and alive in you. And that movement. And it's just about taking those little steps and nudging yourself in those moments of where you feel stagnant into the right direction.
Because your thoughts are very important, and that is, I like that you brought this up, because if you are hanging on to those past failures, or even the negative things that people may have said about you, and you're just carrying that with you and recalling that during important moments and pinnacle moments, your consciousness doesn't know the difference between a memory and something that's happening in real time. So whenever you're recalling a time that somebody said something mean or negative, called you stupid or ugly or unsuccessful, first off, that's their opinions, and you are not entitled to anyone else's opinions but yourself. But if you do have those experiences that you might be hanging on to, just remember, like, your consciousness doesn't know the difference. So it's going to keep on replaying those memories, or it's going to read those memories like they're happening in real time. And that is a killer in your confidence.
Yeah, exactly. She talked about the soldier, the inside, and it's like, it's hurting your soldier inside when you do that. And
so we need our that internal happy voice for us, where we're throwing the party for ourselves, where we're cheering us on, like a little backseat driver being like, yeah, like, you're doing awesome, you're doing great. Just turn that up and celebrate everything that you're doing right. And if you do something wrong and, you know, we're not going to get it 100% every time, take it like, okay, well, I tried this and it didn't work, and maybe I can adjust it here for it to work next time, because why wouldn't it?
Yeah. All right, guys. It's been a little bit longer video than I thought at first, but I really I wanted to, you know, open this discussion here. I felt like it's an important thing to have. It's, you really, like, everybody has certain areas where they feel like that resistance inside. And they have other areas where things are working. And it's like, I want us to be able, as a group, open up this discussion. If you guys also have any wisdom that you want to impart here below, drop a comment below, and if you have anything really that you want to say, any questions, whatever, I want to get the conversation going. I want us to be able to, like, really be able to take those positive experiences and that positive success that we're having in certain areas of life, and transmit that into the areas that we really are looking to have more of that in. And anyways, guys, I hope that it's been valuable for you. Drop us a like, hit me with a subscribe if you haven't done so already, and we will see you guys in the next video.
Bye.